Did you catch that noise behind the scenes today? Something in this building just moved. There's a new piece sliding into the defensive room that a lot of people weren't expecting. A massive offensive name getting floated like it's actually on the table, and an edge decision that could end up defining our entire pass rush. And then you layer in one more former Dolphins coach in the mix, helping finish a puzzle that could change how we run the ball. The direction matters. And I'm saving the wildest part of this offseason for the end, because if you blinked, the Chargers just added a little gear on defense that doesn't look loud in a headline, but can trigger a real domino effect. Pete Thamel put it out there. The Chargers are hiring Julian Campenny, Rutgers outside linebackers coach, to come in as an assistant defensive line coach. And Bolt fam, don't brush that off as just another coach. This is the kind of move that screams the staff is trying to tighten the screws. Rotation, technique, hands, rush angles. The stuff that turns almost pressure into actual contact on the quarterback. In this league, that half second is everything. Half a second is the difference between a sack and a clean completion. Campenny was at Rutgers the last 2 years, and from what's been shared, he still had 1 year left on his contract and was set to make $300,000. He walked away from that to join this staff. He played at UConn, spent a long stretch coaching at Bowling Green, and worked as a graduate assistant at Boston College. Translation? He's a grinder, a fundamentals guy, the kind of coach who lives in the details until the details become automatic. So the real question is simple. Where do we feel it first? You might see it in consistency up front, the boring wins that actually decide games. Setting the edge so contain doesn't crack. Playing with lower pad levels so the run game doesn't crease the front. Closing interior lanes so the QB can't just step up and escape on 3rd and long. And if the plan is to lean into more stunts in games, somebody has to drill the timing until the line moves like one unit. Think about that for a second. When that timing hits, it looks like the defensive line woke up overnight. It didn't. It got coached. And yeah, this is where the fan base splits. Some people hear assistant coach and go, cool, show me players. I get it. But the other side of Bolt fam knows serious teams stack these quiet hires because development is a weapon. A strong staff squeezes another productive year out of a veteran. A strong staff turns a young guy from maybe someday into a real part of the rotation. So what if Campenny is exactly the guy who unlocks one extra layer in our front? Keep pulling the thread, because it doesn't stop there. The Chargers have also been linked to Chandler Henley, a run game specialist who spent 4 seasons under Mike McDaniel in Miami. If that comes through, you're not just watching names get added. You're watching an identity get built in real time. And if you're really paying attention, you already see the shape of it. Here's the detail that almost nobody is talking about when they picture this offense with Mike McDaniel. It's not just the scheme will be fun. It's that if you don't win inside, if the interior offensive line can't hold up, every playbook looks great on a whiteboard and shaky on Sunday. And yet, there's a scenario being tossed around that speeds the whole conversation up. The idea of going after A.J. Brown. Nothing is confirmed here. This is market talk and projection. But the fact that his name is even in the air tells you what time it is. There's a hunger to make this offense more imposing right now. Look at the receiver room. It's deep. It's talented. But it doesn't have that one guy who forces a defense to bend its entire coverage plan on every snap. Keenan Allen is still surgical. Ladd McConkey and Trey Harris can stretch the field and generate chunk plays. Quentin Johnston and Keandre Lambert-Smith bring size and speed. But none of them, right now, makes a safety spend the entire game playing in panic mode. And here's the flip. Give Justin Herbert a true win-anyway target, and 3rd down becomes a different sport. Contested throws turn into conversions. Red zone snaps turn into touchdowns. Defenses have to play us differently, period. Brown is in the conversation because there was frustration in Philadelphia in 2025, even with strong production. 78 catches, 1,003 yards, 7 touchdowns on 121 targets. Those numbers are real. But the vibe around his role was clearly tense, and that tension is what even opens the door to trade talk. Then you get the part that makes everybody sit up. Tyler Sullivan at CBS Sports floated a potential price that looks like a third and a fifth. It sounds too cheap for a player like that, which is exactly why this turns into an argument instantly. Be honest, would you pull that trigger? Because this is where Bolt Fam goes to war in the comments. Half the fans will say, do it, Herbert deserves a monster outside. The other half will say, no, fix the trenches first. Stop buying the fancy piece before you build the foundation. And they've got a point. The contract is real. Brown has a 3-year, $96 million extension kicking in 2027 at $32 million per year. Could you make it work? Possibly, especially if you start making decisions like declining Quentin Johnston's 5th-year option, projected around $17 million, and managing the cap around that. But here's the uncomfortable question. Are you paying top dollar for a star wideout if the A-gap is still collapsing in 2.2 seconds? That's the tug of war. Build the wall first, or hang the most expensive artwork on it and hope it holds. Keep that in your pocket. Because on the other side of the ball, there's an even more urgent decision staring this team down. Everybody looks at the Chargers' cap space and assumes it's simple. We've got room. We'll keep everybody. But when you zoom in on the pass rush, it hits different. Khalil Mack and Odafe Oweh are both free agents. Same offseason, same moment. 2 names, 2 timelines, 1 huge problem. When those two were together, while Tuli Tui Polo 2 kept taking steps forward, the defense started closing games the right way. Pressure without begging for blitzes. 3rd and long felt favorable again. And here's the contradiction nobody wants to say out loud. Even with cap space, you might not be able to keep the whole picture exactly the way it looked. The ideal outcome is obvious. Mack comes back, Oweh gets re-signed, you roll into 2026 with 3 legit edge threats and you don't have to manufacture pressure. But the league doesn't run on ideal. Mack has been in that retirement conversation again. That's not drama, that's a career stage. And Oweh played well enough that the market projection is heavy, around a 4-year deal in the $77 million range. He earned it. The question is whether the Chargers are the team that pays it, knowing there are other holes and depth needs across the roster. Or do you lose someone and have to react fast? And that's why a Plan B name matters more than people think. Zion Young out of Missouri. If Oweh walks, the Chargers can't enter the season on vibes and hope. You need a young player you can develop, a cost-controlled piece who can play real snaps, not just garbage time. Young's production boosted his stock, and he's the type of prospect who could realistically land right around the end of the 2nd round, where the Chargers might be sitting. He's got the build. He's got power. He can work into the backfield. There are concerns about his burst off the line, sure, but he can bull rush, he can set an edge, and he can stop the run with positioning. And sometimes, solid and reliable is exactly what keeps a unit from cracking. So here comes another split in the fan base. Some of you will say, pay Oweh no matter what. Others will say, draft the replacement and spread the money around. Neither side is crazy, but the truth is simple. If you miss on this decision, you feel it fast on the scoreboard. And while that debate is heating up, the offense is being shaped by something most people don't value enough: coaching continuity and a run game blueprint. Now we get to the part that sounds like a staff note, but could end up flipping the whole board. It's being reported that the Chargers are expected to add Chandler Henley, formerly a Dolphins run game specialist, to Mike McDaniel's staff. Nothing is confirmed yet, so keep it in the right category, but if that's where this is headed, the bet the Chargers are making becomes obvious. And I'll put my prediction on it. If that hire happens the way it's being laid out, the run game in 2026 won't be a side dish. It'll be an engine. Henley isn't a flashy name, and that's why people shrug. Quick pause. I get it. But the resume is loud. He was part of a Titans staff that helped Derrick Henry hit a 2,027-yard season. He was with the Falcons when Cordero Patterson turned into a hybrid weapon and piled up 1,166 total yards with 11 total touchdowns. And then in Miami, he was with a group that helped Devon Achane explode for 1,838 total yards and 12 total touchdowns in 2025. That pattern matters. It points to development, details, timing, vision, putting the right player in the right space. And the practical impact on the Chargers is sitting right in front of us. With McDaniel calling the offense and a trusted run game specialist helping shape the ground attack, you're not running just to stay balanced. You're running to punish light boxes. You're running to make linebackers hesitate. You're running to create real play action so Justin Herbert can attack behind it. That's how chunk plays show up without begging for them. That's how the red zone gets more efficient. That's how a quarterback gets to play calmer football late in games. Now zoom in on the personnel angle. If the Chargers are excited about a back like Omarion Hampton, a coach like this can speed up the growth curve. It's not hand him the ball and pray. It's building structure, teaching reads, designing concepts that hide weaknesses and highlight strengths. The difference between a good backfield and a frustrating one is often the stuff you never see in a highlight clip. And yes, Bolt fam is going to argue about this too. Some of you are going to say, why are we loading up on ex-Dolphins coaches? This feels like copy-paste. Others will say, copying what works isn't embarrassing, it's smart. The truth is probably in the middle. Continuity helps, but only if the talent and execution match it. The process looks intentional. The results still have to be earned. Now we circle back to the promise from the opening. When you stack all of this together, it doesn't feel random. It feels like the Chargers are building a connected plan, a deeper coaching staff on defense, an offense being constructed with real identity, hard cap decisions at edge, and a choice between buying star power or reinforcing the trenches. And here's the wild part. Maybe for the first time in a long time, it actually looks like one coherent blueprint tying defense, offense, and development together. Nothing guarantees it works, but direction matters. So I'll ask you straight. If you had to choose today, are you going all in aggressive, or are you choosing patient strategic team building? Drop your take in the comments. I want the debate. And if you're riding with Bolt fam all season, hit subscribe, tap like, and let's keep this conversation going.